That's not loneliness. That's power in its purest form. The mind that terrifies doesn't need to fight. It watches. It calculates. It waits for others to destroy themselves and then moves in silence. Welcome to psychological warfare. Not the kind fought with fists, but the kind fought with stillness, expression, and restraint. The most powerful weapon isn't aggression, it's perception. Because here's the truth. Few people understand human nature. It's not complicated. It's patterned. We are driven by a small set of forces: fear, desire, insecurity, and status. And once you learn to read these forces, you hold the key to every reaction before it happens. Watch the body. Hear not just the words, but what's missing. Notice the shift in voice when their ego feels threatened, the glance that lingers too long, the silence they fumble to fill. Most people rush to speak, not because they're confident, but because silence feels like exposure. But a sharp mind uses that silence like a scalpel. It cuts through masks, reveals fractures. The longer you stay quiet, the more they reveal. Because silence isn't absence, it's pressure. And under pressure, truth leaks out. This is what Machiavelli understood. True control doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from awareness. He saw how people give themselves away with their nervous chatter, with over-explaining, with the desperate need to be seen as good. But you must do the opposite. Say less. Move slower. Reveal nothing. When they ask about your plan, stay vague. When they insult you, don't react. When they brag, smile and nod. Because the louder they get, the more you learn. And that's the first rule of psychological warfare. Let them tell you who they are. You don't need to dig. You don't need to poke. You just need to listen, like a wolf listens for weakness in a herd. But here's the twist. You don't use this power to manipulate recklessly. You use it to conserve your energy, to avoid useless battles, to win without needing to fight. Because once you understand someone's fear, you don't need to threaten, you just need to suggest what they already fear. A look, a pause, violence. Because people don't fear confrontation, they fear the unknown. So become the unknown. Never let your intentions become obvious. Never show your full hand. Never reveal your emotional center. Because once they know what shakes you, they know how to steer you. Psychological warfare isn't about being a villain. It's about understanding the game. It's about staying 5 steps ahead. Because you stopped playing checkers and started designing the chessboard. Here's what you need to do. Learn to pause in conversations. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Study emotional currency. What do they crave? What do they fear? Ask questions, but not for answers. Ask to study the lies. Speak like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. And never explain more than necessary. Let your unpredictability become your shadow. Let your calm become your legend. Let your silence turn into the room's loudest tension. Because the terrifying mind doesn't argue. It doesn't shout. It doesn't plead. It just sits and watches others destroy themselves, trying to figure it out. You don't need to be smarter than everyone else. You just need to be quieter, sharper, and less exposed. Because when everyone's playing emotional roulette, you're holding the blueprint to the machine. They think power is visibility. They think strength is something loud, titles, applause, appearances. But they're wrong. Real power is invisible. It's built in quiet hours, behind closed doors. It's forged in the choices no one sees, in the pain no one praises, in the sacrifices no one understands. The strongest minds don't advertise their discipline. They train like ghosts. No cameras, no quotes, no validation. Just repetition. Just the hard thing done over and over again until it becomes second nature. Let me tell you something true. Every man who commands respect in public has bled for years in private. He doesn't wake up because he feels like it. He wakes up because he said he would. He doesn't post his struggle. He embodies its results. Because motivation, it fades, but discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks, will you act even when your soul says no? The terrifying mind understands this. If your actions depend on emotion, you're already defeated. But if your actions depend on decision, then fatigue, rejection, and fear lose their grip. Most men don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they wait. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. But perfection is a liar. And comfort is a slow death. It lulls you with warmth right before it takes your edge. Discipline is this: waking up when you're tired, finishing when you're bored, starting when no one cares. Because you know this isn't about feeling good. It's about becoming undeniable. You see, Machiavelli wouldn't call this discipline. He'd call it control. Control over the only battlefield that truly matters: yourself. The enemy is not the system, not your past, not the critic. The real enemy is inconsistency. It's your need to be seen before you're ready. Your obsession with reward before you've earned anything. But here's the shift. Every hard decision made in silence is an investment in something the loud will never understand. Presence. Presence isn't born in the spotlight. It's built in repetition. It's built when no one watches. In the gym at 4:00 a.m. In the late night rewrite. In the quiet yes to the hard path when every bone in your body begs for the easy one. The terrifying mind doesn't chase image. It builds structure. It understands reputation is never claimed. It's revealed under pressure. So stop asking, how do I become impressive? Ask instead, how do I become unshakable? And then earn it. Daily, quietly, relentlessly. Not because it feels ... good, but because the mission demands it. Because every silent decision, every unseen sacrifice is a vote for the man you're becoming. And one day, you'll walk into a room and it will shift. Not because you spoke, not because you asked, but because the atmosphere has learned to respect you before you even open your mouth. They won't know what you've done. They won't see the hours, but they'll feel it. That edge, that weight, that storm behind your calm. Because when you've trained in private, you no longer need to prove anything. You walk in and the world adjusts. Power rarely comes from who you truly are. It comes from what people think you are. And if you don't control the image, they'll invent one for you. Because here's the truth. No one sees you as you are. They see you through the fog of their own fears, status games, and insecurities. So if you leave that perception unshaped, you're already at a disadvantage. But the terrifying mind never plays blind. It builds the mask, it shapes the mirror, and then it lets the world reflect itself. This is not deception, it's design. You don't lie, you don't perform. You simply decide what to show and what to let them imagine. Because mystery unsettles people, and unsettled people adapt. Every unnecessary word weakens your edge. Every dot explanation gives away territory. Every attempt to clear the air only clouds the perception. You should have left in silence. So say less, mean more, smile slower. Let silence linger longer than they're comfortable with. Because when others can't fully read you, they can't reduce you. And when they can't reduce you, they elevate you in their minds. That's the mask. It's not fake. It's focused. It's crafted with restraint, shaped by presence, and sealed with silence. They'll fill in your blanks with their projections. They'll assume you're stronger, colder, smarter, more powerful than you even intended. Not because you told them, but because you didn't. Machiavelli knew this well. He wrote that power lies not in what is known, but in what is hidden. Clarity is for allies. Ambiguity is for the rest. You must learn the art of strategic vagueness. When they ask what you're thinking, smile. When they pry into your direction, shift the subject. When they try to provoke, observe without flinching. This is not apathy, it's precision. You're not avoiding the truth, you're controlling the battlefield. And the battlefield is always perception. Here's a rule. Never let people feel like they fully understand you. Because once they do, they either try to control you or they stop respecting you. Unpredictability breeds respect. And the man who is unreadable without being chaotic, calm without being soft, silent without being empty, becomes the most psychologically dominant force in the room. Why? Because they don't fear rage. They fear the calm they can't define, the presence they can't decode, the silence that might be strategy, or something course, that's the mask. But what about the mirror? The mirror is what they see about themselves when they look at you. If you're disciplined, they feel lazy. If you're clear, they feel scattered. If you're detached, they feel exposed in their emotional chaos. You don't need to attack people to shake them. You just need to exist as a reminder of what they're not ready to confront. And when that happens, they'll either rise or retreat. They'll call you arrogant, cold, emotionally distant. Let them. That reaction isn't your burden. It's their mirror cracking. You weren't built to comfort mediocrity. You were built to raise the standard without even saying a word. So from this point forward, walk slower, speak less, maintain eye contact longer than they can tolerate. Smile, not to please, but to punctuate. And when you speak, eliminate filler. Be exact, be deliberate. Because when you control perception, you don't ask for respect. You become the environment that demands. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, but sharp, cold, irreversible. A moment when you realize they were never meant to understand you. And more importantly, you no longer need them to. That's the final break. Not from them, but from the version of you that kept apologizing for being intense. The version that dimmed your fire just so no one else would feel burned. The version that tried, that explained, that softened your edges, that shrank your words, that swallowed your instincts. And what did it get you? Distance, misunderstanding, the slow death of your own truth. But now, no more. Because the terrifying mind, the one they whisper about, the one they secretly admire but openly resent, was born the moment you stopped performing for comfort. Understand this. The world will never clap for your clarity. They'll cheer your growth so long as it doesn't challenge their stagnation. But the moment your silence begins to echo, the moment your presence forces reflection, they'll turn on you. Not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of everything they're still running from. You see, mediocrity survives by agreement. And when you break that silent pact by rising, you become a threat. Because your stillness starts speaking. Your composure starts exposing. Your detachment becomes a mirror. And that mirror, it burns. They'll label you cold, selfish, difficult. Let them. They don't hate you. They hate what you represent. Proof that more is possible, and that they chose comfort over growth. You violate the social contract, the one that says we all suffer quietly together. No, one stands too tall, but you stood. And that discomfort they feel, that quiet distance, that tension in the air when you speak fewer words, that's the price of sovereignty. Because once you break free from the need to be understood, you become unreachable. They can't insult you because you no longer take it personally. They can't guilt you because you've made peace with being alone. They can't cancel you because you were never subscribed to their approval in the first place. And this is the secret no one says out loud. They respect it. They feel it. They envy it. Because deep down, they wish they could do it too. They wish they could walk away, speak less, stand tall, detach cleanly, act without needing applause. But they can't. Not yet. Because they are still addicted to the echo, still terrified of the silence. Silence you now thrive in. So let them talk. Let them project. Let them distort your name, your intent, your energy. It means nothing, because you've already crossed the line and you don't look back. Let them call you distant. Let them call you arrogant. Let them call you dangerous. Good, because they're right. You are dangerous. Not because you seek destruction, but because you no longer seek permission. And a man who doesn't seek permission can't be manipulated. You've become the storm. They can't predict the standard. They can't meet the silence. They can't decode the mirror. They can't bear to face. And from this moment forward, you don't explain. You don't chase. You don't prove. You live. You move. You choose. And the world adjusts. If you've made it to the end of this video, through the silence, the solitude, and the darkness, then know this: you are not like most. Most people would have clicked away the moment the words got uncomfortable, the moment the truth felt too sharp, the moment the mirror became too clear. But you didn't. You stayed. Not because this was entertaining, but because something inside you already knew. This wasn't just content. It was confirmation. Confirmation that your silence, your restraint, your distance was never weakness. It was preparation. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to wake up. And now that you have, don't fall back asleep. Don't return to the explanations. Don't crawl back to approval. Don't perform for people who never had the eyes to see you. You've crossed the line, the one between the agreeable and the untouchable, between being understood and being undeniable. The old you was built on compliance. The new you is forged in command. Not loud, not theatrical, not desperate, just still, sharp, unshaken, because the terrifying mind doesn't beg to be seen. It chooses when and if to be visible. It doesn't seek to be liked. It seeks to remain untouchable. From this moment forward, you move like a force. No noise, only gravity. They won't always understand it, but they'll feel it. That's the point. You didn't build this mind for applause. You built it so no one will ever break you again. So that when the storm comes, you remain still. When the pressure rises, you don't flinch. And when the world shakes, you smile. Because you've trained for this in silence. And now your silence speaks louder than any scream. This is who you are now. Not waiting, not pleasing, not explaining. You are unshaken, unmoved, unbreakable.